Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's service. We will be having the April Shotsuki Hoyo and birthday service today. And thank you to Brevin for bringing Sancho. And thank you to Sharon Yukari and Yukari's shy child who did the flower arrangement for today. We will start with a brief meditation. Please put your hands together. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. And now, Smitty Sensei will read the Shotsuki Hoyo list for April.
We'll have a meditation first. Oh. Just put your hands together in Gasho. Let us cease from wrath and refrain from angry looks. Nor let us be resentful when others differ from us.
For all men have hearts, and each heart has its own leanings. Their right is our wrong, and our right is their wrong. We are not unquestionably sages, nor are they unquestionably fools. Both of us are simply ordinary men. How can anyone lay down a rule by which to distinguish right from wrong? For we are all one another, wise and foolish, like a ring that has no end. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandabs, 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 namandabs.
And now Smitty Sensei will read the Shotsuki Hoyo list.
While we are still not burning incense at the temple, you are invited, as names are read, to come forward and offer gasho and raihai, or a bow, as I read the Shotsuki list today. Yoshiko Honda, Helen Kikuoko Takashima, Jeannie Inoue, Kimiko Kitano, Mildred Pocock, Hiro Tsurodome, George Tachiki, James Noboru Nakashima, Kazuo Kiyono, Robert C. McDonald, Earl Isoki Osaki, Setsuko Himaka, Shimako Uda, Judy Shigeko Shinohara, Masao Santo Hikashi, Hidetoshi Akiyama, Kaytee Magatsugu Uyeji. Kikuo Uyeji. Kaneko Houdek. Armando Leal. Yoshiko Miyazaki. Toshio Hayakawa. Kosaburo Ochi. Shinichi Okuyama. Yoshiko Takashima. Haruko Muraoka. Kenshi Tachiki. Taro Matsui. Shigenori Tsurdome. Hazel Ito. Muneo Torimaru. James Kasubuchi. Ai Yamada. Shizuko Yanagihara. Yoshiko Tsuyoshi. Setsugo Taniguchi. Benso Tsuji. Zenbei Iwashita. Mine Takeshita. Terry Doi. Frank Tachiki. Mike Hagio. Chio Yamagata. George Yukio Kodama. Kazumi Sugioka. Isao Imazumi. Magoichi Hamano. Kuzo Sugiyama. Ryohei Tsujimura. Hajime Kyutoku. Buheji Tanaka. Iwaguma Tsuneyoshi. Ume Inoue. Shizuyo Izumo. Shinzemon Fujii. George Kozuma. Saburo Oyama. Yoshikiko Hasayama. Mansak Shinohara. Hiromi Moribe. Yoichiro Torio. Yukichi Okuma, Yoshitaro Matsumoto, Masaichi Kuroda, Shizuko Kazubuchi, Seihachi Tsurodome, Saburo Sugiyama, Toyosaburo Yanagihara. You may also come forward and make an offering of gasho and raihai, even if I did not read the name of a loved one or friend.
We will now have sutra chanting, Jusei Gei, on page 35 of your service books, which should be in your pocket in front of your seat. And for later, check to make sure you have a little sheet of paper with our pledge written on it. If you don't, please raise your hand, and wherever Brevin ended up, he has some extras, and we'll pass them out to you.
Gagon Chosegan Ishimu Jodo Shigan Fumanzo Sefujo Shogak Gao Muryoko Dai Seshu Fusai Shobingu Sehujo Shogak Gashi Jobundo Myosho Chojipo Kukyo Mishomon Seifujo Shogak Ryokujin Shonen Joeshu Bongyo Shigumu Jodo Isho Teninshi Jinriki Endai Ko Fusho Musaido Shoujo Sankumyo Kosai Shuyakunan Kaiichi Egen Meshikon Moan Hesoku Sho Akudo Tsudaten Zen Shumon Kosojo Manzok Iorojipo Nichigan Shujuki Tenko Onpugen Ishukai Hozo kose kudoku ho, jo odai shuchu, seppo shishiku, kuyo isai bus, gusoku shutoku hon, gan e shinjo man, toku isan gai o, nyo buten mugechi, tsudaten mi hu sho, gangaku erik, toshi sai sho son, shiganya koka, daisen o kando, koku shotenin, tochin myoke. Shikudoku Byodose Isai Dohoten Bodai Shin Ojo Asho, namandabs, 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 namandabs.
Now could everybody please rise for the Gatha farewell on page 107, and we will be doing this a cappella. Dharma School is over for another day. Let us gather round the shrine, bow our heads and say, thank you, teacher, for your help. Thank you, everyone. Buddha's love will keep us safe till our work is done. So we'll meet again next week. Won't you take good care? Let us try to do what's right, always kind and fair. We shall spread the happiness faith in Buddha brings. Now it's time to say goodbye till we meet again. Namo Amida Butsu, sing this fine refrain. Namo Amida Butsu, sunny day or rain. Namo Amida Butsu, strong in faith remain. Namo Amida Butsu, till we meet again. Please remain standing for the recitation of the golden chain found on page 90. I am a link in Amita's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amita's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. You may be seated. And now we will have a Dharma School message from Ralph Honda.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kaytee. I'm going to take my mask off if that's okay. Well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to see all of you today on this beautiful Sunday morning in person. Today, for the Dharma School. We have any Dharma School students here today? All right. Nice to see you. And your parents, too, and our friends as well. You know, we all have a gift, a common gift. For the Dharma School students, do you know what that gift may be? What I might be thinking of? Anybody? Any of the Dharma School? Or do you think what a gift you might have that we all have in common? If you have, anything, if you have an answer, no answers? Okay. Well, for me, the one gift that I think we all have in common is a smile. Can you smile? Everybody can smile, right? Everybody can show their smile. I know it's hard to show with your mask on, but everybody has a smile. It is said that laughter is the best medicine, but I think a smile is a better medicine because it shows your natural facial expressions such as friendliness, kindness, and gratitude. You know, I've mentioned before in my Dharma talks to the children that I like to take long walks, and during my long walks, it's my daily exercise and my form of meditation every day. Well, when I first started to take my walks, and I'd see people walking, and as I passed by them, I would either wave or smile or say good morning, but I would receive no response. Everybody just kind of kept to themselves. Well, maybe that's because I was a stranger to them. But now when I see the same people out walking, and they may be walking by themselves or walking with another person or walking with their pets, I wave my hand, I smile, say hello, and in response, people will say good morning or wave or smile, which is nice. Maybe it must be a comfort level for all of us. But for Dharma School students and for everyone else, how many of you like to smile? You like to smile? Even with your mask on, right? Okay. Do you smile when you see your mother and father? Okay. How about when you see your brothers and sisters? There's less hands being raised. But there's a couple out there. How about when you see your grandparents or your bachan and jichan? Yeah? Oh, good. Do you smile when you see your friends at school? Or how about your teachers or Reverend Smitty or your Dharma School teachers? Do you smile when you see them? Yes? Very good. Smiling is a good thing. Do you ever smile when your mom asks you, do you want ice cream? Oh yeah, hand shot up right away. How about when you play with your pets? Yes? Okay, good. How about do you smile when someone is going to take your picture? Yes? Everybody's nodding their heads. Good. Smiling is a feature that shows positive expressions. In Buddhism, we learn that our lives are filled with suffering and delusion. And we learn through the teachings of the Buddha that what we must do to help kind of strive to overcome such suffering or dukkha. Well, I believe that trying to overcome suffering or dukkha is to be positive and to be focused on to the best things that you do at all times. And when you smile, the expressions show a lot of those characteristics. You know, we're surrounded by smiles every day, not only from the ones we love, with our friends and teachers, but also with the symbols, such as you probably see pictures of the smiley face. I'm sure you see smiley faces all over the place. You probably see it on TV, you see it on if you have a cell phone, emojis, things like that. One of the things that I see when I always walk this one section of the neighborhood, I would see this some artwork on the sidewalk, and when I would walk by it, it always said in big letters, "Smile and have a happy day." And every day when I walked by those words, it was very uplifting for me, because it would help me I would have a good day. But over time, the words of the chalk faded, especially when it rained. And then after about 6 months, the words on the sidewalk had completely disappeared. And it brought to mind for me that, there's of impermanence, that nothing lasts forever. But although the words on the sidewalks are no longer there, when I pass that exact same spot, I'm always reminded of the words, "Smile and have a wonderful day." So I know during this time, during COVID, we've all of you, children especially, have to wear masks, and you were when you're school, you weren't in person. You had to see your classmates and teachers through a laptop or video. So we all lacked that in-person being able to converse in person like we used to do. But now, as we're gradually coming back to some normalcy, everybody is starting to feel comfortable the way it used to be. So when you So when you smile to a person or even give a person a fist bump, you are showing your expressions of friendliness, kindness, and gratitude. So give smiling a try. It's a natural gift that we all have and could be your best medicine. So thank you for listening this morning. And can you please put your hands together in Gasho? Namo Amidaps. Namo Amidaps. Namo Amidaps. Namo Amidaps. Namo Amidaps. Namo Amidaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph, for your happy message for today. And now we will recite our pledge, which, like I said, is on that small piece of paper, which should be in the back of your book or that Brevin handed out. Everybody have it? Have one? Okay. Please recite along with me. Breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly works to liberate all. Namo Amitabhats, Namo Amitabhats, Namo Amitabhats, Namo Amitabhats, Namo Amitabhats. And now, are there any announcements?
Our Junior YBA Mother's Day breakfast is on Sunday, May 8th from 8:30 to 9:45. Breakfast will be miso soup, eggs, sausage, rice, fruit, and a beverage. Mothers are free and everybody else is $7. You pay at the door of the day of the breakfast. See you there. And today we are hosting an activity for all Dharma School kids in the Sangha Hall. Thank you.
I just want to announce that we're officially ending the Ukraine donation drive tomorrow, but you can still make a donation today if you want, or maybe even tomorrow through our PayPal link, which you will find on our temple website. If you make a donation through PayPal, please make sure to state that it's for the Ukraine donation drive, so it can be allocated to that cause. Or if you would just prefer to make a check, you can just leave it here at the temple today. BTSD will transfer all the funds to the Buddhist Churches of America's Social Welfare Fund, which in turn will forward them to UNICEF's Ukraine Relief Fund. BCA has already sent $40,000 for Ukraine relief efforts and may be adding additional donations to whatever is collected by us and other temples for this cause. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Dharma School, I wanted to invite everyone to the annual camping trip this year, which is going to be on Memorial Day weekend in May. So it goes from Friday, May 27th through Sunday, May 29th, and it will be held at the Paso Picacho Campground in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park, 15 miles south of Julian. It's a lot of fun, and so if you like camping, think about joining us. For registered Dharma School families, the cost is $60 per family, And for non-Dharma School families, it's $80 per family, which includes the campsite as well as all food for that Friday through Sunday period. So it's a lot of fun. We do campfire, we do a craft, and really good food. So if you're interested, please come talk to me or any other Dharma School teacher. And some upcoming services for next Sunday. Dharma School will be having our Zoom service. So just keep a lookout for the link for that from our superintendent, Lisa Umekubo. And if anyone is interested, besides Dharma School, in also attending our Dharma School Zoom services, you're also invited. So just talk to any Dharma School teacher or myself if you're interested in being added to the Zoom service list. And as far as other dates in May, so that's May 1st is Zoom. And for May 8th, that is the in-person in-person service here. As Andrea mentioned, the Junior YBA is hosting the Mother's Day breakfast, which is always fabulous, and I hope you all can attend that. And May 15th is also an in-person service here, Sunday, and that is in observing Gotan-e, which is the founder of our tradition, Jodo Shinshu, Shinran Shonin's birthday. So I hope you can all make it on May 15th as well as May 8th here on site for our service. And then May 22nd, we go back to Zoom for Dharma School. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And I'm Bill Teague. I help with the website. I just want to let you know that by request, we've tried to make our calendars more available so you can make plans ahead. And there's even a link on the announcement bar at the top of the website currently. Otherwise, the calendars are under the news pull-down menu. And we both are talking about May already on that calendar page, but then we also have the full year 2022 in a PDF form. It's tentative, but it's useful for planning purposes. Thank you very much.
Any more announcements? Roger, did you want to say anything about Earth Day? Of course he does.
Out there, the link is also available from the announcement bar on the website. But Roger Reed, Baby Love Green Energy, to his granddaughter Susan, and it's quite charming. She's a delightful kid. And it's short, it's only 7 minutes.
Get anything from me on global warming in 7 minutes is a miracle.
Okay, now Dharma School will be dismissed to their activity in the Sangha Hall. If you could come up and gasho before you leave. And for anybody who has forgotten or never knew in the first place, Sangha Hall is the small building to the west, in the back of the parking lot. We will start the adult portion of the service with chanting the Vandana and Tea Sarana, which can be found on page 96 of the service book.
Please chant along with me, including the parts that are labeled as leader. We're all leaders here today. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kye Butsu. Namo Kye Ho. Namo Kye So. Gasho Namandab, 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 Namandab.
And now Smitty Sensei will give us the adult Dharma message.
Well, good morning. Please join me in Gasho as we hear the words of Shinran Shonin from Lamp for the Latter Ages in letter 19. Human beings are such that, maddened by the passions of greed, we desire to possess. Maddened by the passions of anger, we hate that which should not be hated, seeking to go against the law of cause and effect. And led astray by the passions of ignorance, we do what we should not even be thought. Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabs, Namandabs, Namandabs. Well, I appreciate that Ralph Honda gave us a lovely talk filled with smiles. Mine maybe not so much so. And I'd like to say that unless you've been living either totally off the grid or under a rock for the last 2 months, you've undoubtedly been aware of the unprovoked and unjustified invasion of Ukraine that was directed by Russian President Vladimir Putin. And most of us have watched the news from Kiev in sadness and in horror as we view from afar the wanton destruction caused by the Russian military forces. And we've become witness to the targeting and killing of unarmed Ukrainian civilians and the resultant flood of refugees as those who can escape the horror of the war flee to safety in other countries. And we've seen many Ukrainians respond with improvised and captured weapons as they attempt to defend their own homeland. And we can't help but have our hearts go out to all who have been affected by this ugly and destructive conflict, the senseless loss of human life, both Ukrainian and Russian, and the physical and mental trauma of war will undoubtedly have lasting and innumerable repercussions for so many. And I think it's obvious that the three poisons of greed, hatred, and ignorance are at work in our world, and that they're causing immense suffering. And these poisons are both the impetus and the fuel that started and keep this war going. Putin not only has great power as the leader of Russia, but he's immensely wealthy as well. And yet he's greedy for even more power and wealth. And he and millions of others are suffering because of this poison. Vladimir Putin's desire to take control of Ukraine is driven by all three poisons, with greed for the territory leading to his decision to invade, and hatred of the independence enjoyed by this former Soviet republic stoking the fire, and a willful ignorance of Ukraine's desire to remain independent, causing great suffering for both nations. And these three poisons are having a terrible effect not only on the people of Ukraine and Russia, but on all of humanity and on Earth itself. Ukrainian soldiers and civilian resistance fighters have likewise been imbibing in the poison of hatred as they demonize both the Russian soldiers and Putin, desiring to kill invaders who are destroying their homes and slaughtering their families. And Ukrainian civilians are also expressing their hatred of Russians, relating stories of atrocities and deaths and harrowing escapes as they make their way to refugee camps when they can. And the environment and all beings are suffering from the destructive forces of war that are tearing everything apart. And it all leads back to the power wielded by greed, hatred, and ignorance over ordinary human beings. And I must admit that seeing some of the images from the news and reading reports of the atrocities of war has pushed me beyond sadness and horror at times toward the poison of anger, which just is a few steps away from hatred itself. And as Shinran warned us in the letter that I read part of, maddened by the passions of anger, we hate that which should not be hated. And we're all too often swayed by fear and insecurity and distrust and doubt, and these emotions can lead us to respond with anger and hatred. And I know that harboring these thoughts will not likely lead to any acts of hatred on my part, but I realize that I've given in to the poison which Shinran warned us against nonetheless. And the antidote to poisons is not indulging in more of the poisons. The antidote is wisdom and compassion. The antidote is the vow of Amida Buddha. Yet how easy is it to counter anger with more anger and hatred with more hatred? We must resist falling into that destructive spiral and counter hatred instead with compassion. And that's much easier to do when you're safely thousands of miles away from this conflict than it is when your home is destroyed by bombs and family members have been killed by the fighting. And it's easier to wish that all beings be happy and well when we're sitting in this temple than it is to wish all beings be happy and well when you're taking shelter in the basement of a nearly demolished building. It's even harder to wish that your enemies be happy and well when your enemies are actively trying to kill you. The destructive force of these three poisons is what we're witnessing in this war, and that's exactly why Shinran warns us of them. In fact, just today, which happens to be Orthodox Easter for many Ukrainians and Russians alike, the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky told his people, "Our souls are filled with fierce hatred for the invaders and all that they have done. Don't let that rage destroy us from within." And we would all do well to heed Zelensky's and Shinran's warnings. If you have ever doubted the Buddhist truth of interdependence, you only need to watch the news briefly each day to understand how events such as these that are taking place half a world away have an effect on all people and indeed on the entire planet. You know, in the US, you've probably noticed that gas prices have been soaring and inflation has been too, and even in grocery stores, the prices are rising to levels that we haven't seen in more recent times. And no, this is not all due to this conflict and the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia by the European nations and the US, but there's still a definite connection. But those cost increases we're experiencing are just a small price to pay when we consider how greed, hatred, and ignorance are destroying the lives of others in this war. And Ukrainian refugees are fleeing the destruction. Some are even showing up here in San Diego by way of Mexico after having traveled thousands of miles from their war-torn country. And there's also Russians who are fleeing their country as well because they're fearful of being punished for contradicting Putin by telling the truth about the invasion and the continuing conflict. And these Russians are attempting to counter the poison of ignorance rather than drinking more of it. But they aren't being welcomed into other countries in the same manner that the Ukrainian refugees are. And I hope that we and other nations might show some compassion for these Russians who are also fleeing the destructive results of the three poisons. As Buddhists, we should be aware of the destructive nature of greed, hatred, and ignorance, and we should take whatever actions we can, however small they might seem, to foster peace and call for an end to the aggression and violence. And as Arturo mentioned, in an act of compassion by the BCA through the Social Welfare Fund, there's already been donations to two international organizations aiding Ukraine, UNICEF and the Global Giving Fund, with each already receiving $20,000 so far. And our own Dana group is running a donation drive to support Ukraine. And the Temple's Dana group is also accepting items in kind.
Mostly painkillers, bandages, men's underwear, I believe. It's a very limited short list of items. The House of Ukraine has no more.
Okay, so are they still accepting things like boots?
Well, yeah. I mean, any kind
Okay.
of military equipment, they will take it.
And I mentioned this because, you know, particularly those warm clothing items, military style, uniform items, and boots in good condition. And I personally hesitated to donate such items because I considered that they might be used to further war in a small way. But then I reconsidered and realized they might also reduce someone's suffering in a way. And so I brought an old pair of my boots to donate. If you'll take these, Arturo, and pass these along. Because I think they have a chance of reducing suffering more so if I donate them than if they sit in my closet until I remember that they're still there. So even a small donation allows us to be interconnected with the war and the people experiencing it in a meaningful way, and not just through paying higher prices at the gas pump or at the grocery store checkout. And may we all recognize this destructive nature of greed and hatred and ignorance in the world and in our own lives, and turn to the Dharma instead. Well, it may be human nature to succumb to all the allure of these poisons. Shinran cautions not to give in to these poisons just because there is an antidote. They certainly cause pain and suffering to ourselves and others, even if we don't go in as far as starting a war on our own. And as Bishop Eric Matsumoto of Hawaii said, may the light of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion guide our thoughts and words and actions along this difficult journey to peace. So please join me in Gasho as we hear the words of Shinran Shonin. May there be peace in the world, and may the Buddhist teaching spread. Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabs, 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 Namandabs.
Thank you, Smitty, for your message and the boots. Would everybody please rise for the Gatha on Doksan, found on page 128, and this time we have music. Get it going. You may be seated. Closing meditation. We don't go out of this world in order to be born into the Pure Land, but we carry the Pure Land. Being born in the Pure Land means discovering the Pure Land within ourselves. My conclusion is that Amida is our innermost self, and when that innermost self is found, we are born in the Pure Land. D.T. Suzuki. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. And this concludes today's service. Thank you again to Smitty and to Brevin, who is helped with Dharma School. And in the back there, Joyce has the little shop open, and there's also envelopes. If you have not picked up bazaar tickets, you may do that, and go pick up your kids.